Hello everybody, it is Thursday the 12th of January. I am back at the 5 koshas. I want to talk about being or becoming a 5-dimensional being, because I think as it stands we could be that. And then the true path to enlightenment is becoming that 5-dimensional being, and then seeing this world and acting in this world out of the knowledge of a 5-dimensional being. Now, if that is all we are, I don't know. But we must become that to create a new beginning from which we can then, there might be other things out there then, which then will create another circle of us adding something new to ourselves, a new knowledge of ourselves. But at the moment, I think we're standing at, we can be that, if we do it correctly. So, first thing is the word dimension. And I think a lot of people at the moment are giving the wrong meaning to that word, because it has got two possible meanings. And obviously the first meaning is that there are dimensions in space. Like in a 3-dimensional space you have height, length, width. And so if they talk multi-dimensional, they are creating these spaces that have got more than 3 dimensions, and they are creating these models that they are then rotating. I don't know if you've seen them. But apart from giving you a headache, if you look at them for long enough, what does that actually serve? What do you do with that? You know, in which way can you work with that? I don't see it. But if you take the other meaning of the word dimension, which means there is another side to something, a different aspect. Yeah, a situation or a person, you would say there is another side to that person, which means there's another dimension to that person. And I think if you use that meaning of the word dimension, you're actually going the correct way. So, back at the 5 koshas, and here I want to show you how to work this, how I think we should work this correctly to become a 5-dimensional being, and how the old teachings, again, have actually made a mistake right from the beginning. And that is their interpretation of the koshas, is that if you go inward, you reach different and higher states, progressingly higher states of enlightenment. Yeah? The other thing that they teach is that as you go inward, you leave the lesser state behind. Forget about it. Yeah? You're no longer that. And I think it is the wrong interpretation. They are not higher states of awareness. They are different states of awareness. Actually, only 2 of the rings are states of awareness. And the rest of the rings is really, what do you do with that? So they have different functions. And in order to become a truly 5-dimensional being, you have to work them correctly. So, and again, even if we work it like that, I will show you there are places where this thing is going belly up, where we lose the use of a ring or we use it incorrectly, and by that we create a distortion. So if we go from the outside, the gross ring, the body ring, the physical body, yeah, it is an information gathering device, yeah, and it speaks to you through feeling. So you have the input of the 5 senses, but then you have other feelings like hunger, like thirst, like feeling cold, like feeling hot, which all of that creates desires. You know, the desire for shelter, the desire for food, the desire for drink, stuff like that. But that is purely gathering information about your surroundings on a physical level. So if you go into the orange ring, which is, I call it the energy body. And that is where you sense things that you do not see, but you can sense them. Yeah? And in that ring, I would say there are two things. One is foresight. Foresight should definitely be in that ring, where animals can sense a lion coming. It gives them foresight of that the lion is coming. So that is one function of that ring. I think another function is that when we are in the energetic body and sense things, and then our mind gives the information a form, that we can know what is around us on an energetic level. And that gives us greater insight into what is around us, or another level of insight of what is around us. I don't want to use the word greater, because they're just different. They give you different information. So, but foresight should definitely reside in the orange circle. And I think there is one way that things are going belly up at the moment, because we are no longer aware of that sensory input in a big way. And it is like Greg Braden says, if you do not use one of your capabilities, they will atrophy. And I think our orange circle has atrophied. We are no longer getting the information from there that we need. Because then we come into the yellow circle, and here is discernment and intuition. And if you see discernment, rational discernment is coming from the physical ring. Intuition is coming from the orange ring. So what is the function of the yellow ring then, which is reason? Reason looks at all that information, and it's not always clear-cut what you do with that. So it creates possibilities out of the information input. It is the reason circle that creates possibilities, possible ways of what the meaning might be and what you do with it, how it would serve you. And like in the internet at the moment, people are in the reason circle, yeah, where you have the input of an awful lot of information, and then there are different groups creating different possibilities of what the meaning of this might be and what you should do with it. So they are in the reason circle. Now, here is one of the places where things go belly up. And that is if you no longer receive input from the orange circle, from your energetic sensory input. And that is to say, you're void of emotion, because that is how it speaks to you. That is one way it speaks to you, through emotions. Then you are running purely on reason. And foresight, again, is created out of reason, not out of the sensory input, but by reason itself, by logic. So if you say this is how it is and what should happen next is created by logic, not by intuition knowing, but by logic itself. And then you react on that. In the wisdom body, and here we come to the green ring, and the wisdom body, the function is to take the possibilities that were created by the reason ring and make a choice. What is the best way to go? And be wise about it. But, and here goes, if you have created choices purely out of reason, foresight, purely out of reason, out of logic, what should happen next, then what stands in the green ring is, you could call it Sophia, and or it is the abomination that will create desolation. Because reason, creating purely out of itself, is a callous beast. It's a calculating, callous beast, void of emotions. Psychopath. Sophia is actually a psychopath. So is abomination that creates desolation. You could all put them into psychopath. But that is because, again, we lost one of our dimensions. We're no longer a 5-dimensional being, we're now a 4-dimensional being, and it creates a distortion because we have done away with the orange circle. So here's wisdom, trying to make a choice, trying to gain certainty, or coming to a place of certainty about what to do next, which is then an intention. I intend to do that next. Which leaves the purple circle. And that is, again, it depends on what you think is in that purple circle, which is heaven. And in the religious teachings, it's heaven is above you, or the higher state, which, of course, inside of yourself, they're not above each other. They are all existing at the same time, and they're interacting with each other. But okay, in the religious view, it is above you. So what do you think is in heaven? Now, you might think that there is a higher being that is so much greater than yourself that will tell you what to do. Yeah? So it will create the intention. In which case, and Jesus stood in that circle. And he said, I will do as I'm told. In which case, you are actually, again, doing away with the yellow circle. You're doing away with the reason circle. You're doing away with all the possibilities. You are no longer deciding what the next step should be, but you're being told, and you do according to that. So you've done away with reason, with creating choices and using those choices. Again, you're no longer a 5-dimensional being because you've done away with one of your rings. But, and here's but, if you go with what the knowledge that spoke out of Jesus, what it said, is in the purple ring. And it says, it is the Father. With him everything is possible. He does not judge. And that he gives to the birds, the bees, the lilies in the field, and everything according to itself. And at that moment, if you stood in that yellow circle, in the green circle, wisdom, you have become self. You have become a self. And if you think that's what is in the purple circle, the one that gives without judgment, then all that is left for you in the green circle is to know that you will receive. And that is the state of God. Because that is what God did in the Bible. When he said, let there be, he received. He had an intention, he had knowledge, he had an intention, and he said, let there be, and he received. And that is where you're at then. But if we do not go through the circles before in the correct way, understanding what their function is, understanding what we should do in each of those states, or we do away with the sensory input, or we do away with the yellow ring, with creating possibilities and, to make our own choices, then we create distortions. We are no longer our true self. We have not used the entirety of our true self. So I heard somebody say, first of all, we should become human beings. We are not gods. We are only a god if we are a true human being. The two, the Father and I are one. I am the image of God. It is only when we are a true human being that we can be a god. And that is using those circles in the correct way. And being in the wisdom ring, having taken the input of the first two rings, the information input, we have used reason that created possibilities. We have wisdom about what choice we're making out of those possibilities. And we know that we will receive. And then we are using ourselves correctly. So it is not what the old, to my mind, it is completely wrong what the old teachings are saying, that they are higher states of awareness and that you should do away with what was before. They are different states of awareness, two states of awareness, one state of creating possibility and the state of choice and the knowledge that you will receive. And that's using that correctly. And if we don't, as I say, we do away with the intuition ring, or we do not use reason, but we let something else rule over us, we are creating purely out of reason, which is the abomination, which is Sophia. We create distortions, and this is what is happening to this world. You know, we say around us is a falling world, or the world is distorted. It's not the world that is distorted. We are the distortion. And we are viewing this world through the eyes of our own distortion, and we are creating out of this distorted place, and we create abominations because we are not our true selves. Anyway, I leave it at that for today. Tomorrow I want to talk, or in the next few days when I get around to it, I want to talk about what is in the Bible, what Christians call the temptation of Christ, which is this conversation that is taking part between Satan and Jesus. And that is, well, I say right now, it is not the conversation that's taking place between a man and a horned-winged goat. It is actually a conversation that is taking place between two different states of awareness, and that is the red ring and the orange ring are having a conversation with each other. But I want to talk about that as soon as I get around to it. Anyway, I leave it at that for today, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.